Expect the best used car deals guaranteed. Visit arnoldclark.com.
Welcome to Peter and Roughie's football show, sponsored by Arnold Clark. It's Monday, the 24th of August. Alan Rough, Tam McManus and Hugh McDonald here with me on the programme. Great to have your company. Don't forget, like, share and follow us on our Facebook page. Join the football family. So many people opting in and getting updates on when we're live and, of course, all the latest opinion. No shortage of banter between you and me and the rest of the panel. And if you're on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. It costs you absolutely nothing. So Tam, Hugh and Roughie are at the ready. Two of us dressed sensibly and the other two wearing strips of people they've been associated with in the past. So there you have it in a nutshell. Let's have a look at the Premiership results from the weekend because, of course, that's why Tam's got a smile on his face. Hamilton got the win in the Rangers comfortable against Killie. St the spoils. Celtic left it late but got the winner up at Tannadice against Dundee United. Aberdeen, good form continuing after that lockdown chaos. And of course Hibs with the late show at St Johnstone. I have to say, on my days as a commentator, I have great sympathy for Ian Crocker because, Roughie, some of the games have been dire. I refuse to listen to the Hibs boss, Jack Ross, telling us to talk the game up if indeed what we're watching is absolute pants. And boy, Roughie, some of the games have been absolute pants.
Yeah, as a whole, yeah. And when you get the games that are like that, you're looking for a couple of wee individual maestros. And the weekend, the only couple I could see was Kent. You know, he had a couple of runs and, you know, a couple of shots at goal. I thought he took his goal well. But apart from that, you know, there was nobody. It just shows you how much we're missing the crowds. The crowds actually do make the games a lot better than what they are. Yeah, I'd say that. You know, they don't make them. And you're missing the atmosphere, you're missing anything, you're missing everything that goes with it. And you're right, you know what? Okay, Celtic had a high score at the beginning of the season, but apart from that, it's just one big struggle in every game to get anything out of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, here's a good. I love it when we get lots of messages. Hi to Peter Waters. If the game's on Sky Sports, it's guaranteed to be 0-0 or 1-0 recently. You're absolutely right, Peter. Alan Lawrence joins us. Keith Berry says, afternoon from Kirkcaldy. Niall Kane. Niall's a massive fan of the show. He always shares the stream. Niall, we really are grateful to you for supporting us since day one of lockdown and probably before that, Niall. So great to have you on. And yeah, absolutely, he loves it. He's a big Motherwell fan, Niall, so we're great to have him on. Hi to Joyce McCourt as well. And this is my favourite, Hugh McDonald. Una Brennan says, my son works at Glasgow Airport. There's the line. Never doubt it. And she said,
yeah.
You know, the Duff is here. She's talking about, of course, Shane Duffy. Of course, I never discount it because a man get into the back, a woman get into of a taxi. To a taxi driver one day, well, that's my son off to Rangers, and it was Mo Johnson's mother. So never do we diss taxi drivers or people who've got jobs at airports, you.
Well, the great thing about Shane Duffy is apparently definitely is in Scotland, and there's no question about that. But he is, but apparently Brighton are training at St Andrews. So yes. That might be the reason he's here as well. So it might be a case of, you know, everybody calming down just for a minute, you know. So because they're ensconced on the East Nuke of Fife at the moment.
Yeah, and with all due respect, Tam, you'd think this guy was Franz Beckenbauer, the way he's teasing out whether he's going to West Ham or whether he's going to Celtic. I'm like, hey, peace. Just get on with it, by the way, and stop teasing everybody as if it's the second coming of one of the greatest centre halves ever to walk this. It's either a loan deal or signing for West Ham.
Listen, I think he's a good player, but as you said, I don't think he's outstanding. But I think we said it, talked about the other day. He's what Celtic are needing: an aggressive centre back who go and win the ball, win headers, win tackles, defend the penalty box, and give Julian beside him, let him come out with the ball and play. But Celtic are missing a physical centre half, and I think he ticks a lot of boxes, Duffy. But if it's a loan deal, I think it'd be a great signing for Celtic. But it's going on a bit far now, as if he's, as you said, the new Franco Baresi, but he'd be a good signing for Celtic.
Yeah, and of course the other worrying thing, Roughie, is what happens is once people come on PLZ Soccer, they start to get work elsewhere. They start to get lots of checks in, and they don't know what to do with the money. And then what they do, Roughie, is they buy themselves Apple earpods, and then their whole voice changes and their microphone doesn't work properly. That's what to them, Roughie. They start spending their money on stupid things. Is that fair, Roughie?
Yes, it's just a fashion thing now, isn't it? When you're doing all these different jobs, you have to be up there with the Michael Stewarts and everybody. You have to look like the Stevie Thompsons, and that's the way he's going. That's it.
By the way, I don't think they're. I think they're earpods. I don't think they're the real deal. By the way, so you might get a bit of feedback.
Yeah, absolutely. Is it the ones where you get a couple of pairs of socks with them, Tam? If it is, then we know exactly. Lots of people joining us. Doug E. Brown says McManus is looking smug. I have to tell you, Doug, the reason he's looking smug is because he had a fantastic weekend in the Predictor, which we'll do a little later. We'll hear from Neil Lennon. We'll hear from Mickey Mellon. We will also hear from Stephen Robinson. A troubled start for Motherwell. If you're a fan of your favourite team, what do you make of your start to this season? Are you happy with the team's form? Any individuals you want to talk about? We're going to get into the meat and bones of it as well, because quite simply, I think slowly but surely, Hugh, Rangers fans are beginning to think, no, we've had enough of the whole Alfredo Morelos circus. Now even the manager's losing faith with him.
Well, this has been a circus that's going on for some time, and I think the general view, certainly for those of us outside of Ibrox or outside of a Rangers support, is that this has been a long-term thing, Peter. This just didn't blow up on Friday at training at Lansdowne. This is a guy who basically hasn't kicked a ball since Christmas, and has played well below par for him since Christmas. Now, there may be a variety of reasons for that, but certainly I was told categorically that the bid from Lille was 16 million. I was told that categorically by somebody who knew. And my immediate reaction, and this was over a month ago, was take it, move on, because his stock is not soaring at the moment, Peter. And from it being a selling proposition, a selling market in regards to that, it's now becoming a buyer's market, because you can see Lille now are actually sort of being quite cute about it, talking about, well, we're pressing pause, we're not really sure if we need them, etc., etc., etc. So it's a real sticky one for Rangers at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. This is what Rangers manager Steven Gerrard had to say about the whole affair.
I think you guys will decide on how big a decision it is. For me, it was pretty simple, and it's simple every week. You pick the players that look hungry, the players that work hard every single day, the players that look ready and focused for the challenge that's coming up. That's what I did today.
Okay, so all us guys in the media have made a decision. Quite simply, if the manager doesn't put him in the squad and mentions the fact that he's not pulling his weight in training, he's not interested, then quite simply the rating is on the wall. We've said it continually on this programme, Tam. You have to punt him when the time was right. You have to get him out the door. I personally thought not only had he not contributed, but I just thought his whole body language was wrong. It was time to get him out because of what he had done over a 2 or 3 month period. Just petulance beyond belief at times.
Yeah, I think Steven Gerrard's now got options and he can drop him. I just don't think he could have dropped him, Peter, their first couple of games. Nobody else. Defoe was out injured. And once Cedric Etienne came in and Rolf, is it Rolf? Whichever way they spell it on the back of the jersey. Once they two came in the door, he had options and he could drop him. So I think now he's going to go. I think he's going to go now. I think Rangers will be looking to get him out the door because they've got two guys in there who can fill in and score goals. They just couldn't do it. They couldn't drop him, and I think he's had to humour him. Steven Gerrard over the last 3 or 4 weeks, 5 weeks, he's had to humour him and put up with maybe his nonsense in training or not putting it all in. And now he's got these two boys in. He's had enough, and he's just said, "Listen, you're not involved in the squad." And he could be a disruptive influence, Peter. In terms of the squad and the training sessions and all that. So. Obviously, Steven Gerrard's had enough. He's lost his patience, and now I think he's finished at Rangers.
Yeah, Scott McIntyre says exactly the same thing. Rangers fan just says, got to go now. And lots of people, lots of Rangers fans, not too happy with what he's doing. I personally think, Hugh, they haven't handled it properly. I think they're so obsessed with trying to push the price up for whatever reason in the background, but it's not been handled properly. This is a guy, as you mentioned, there hadn't kicked a ball since January. Um, and there's been a couple of incidents which I think will have annoyed Rangers fans who want, a couple of goals against St Mirren didn't turn the tide for me.
Well, first of all, I think I said that Rangers were training at Lennoxtown on Friday. That would have been a good story, Peter. That's a wee PLZ scoop. Well, obviously, I meant Auchenhowie.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I agree that my whole point was I think that in some way the Rangers board, which is not packed full of old time football heads, shall we say, a lot of them. I know Stuart Robertson was at Motherwell and has had some years at Rangers. But I think a lot of, I think a sort of more narrowed, shall we say, boardroom members would have said, "Listen, we have to, we have to you have to really address this situation and address it quickly." Tam's right. It's very difficult to get him out the door when your only alternative is maybe playing Greg Stewart as your number 9, which part was no one. So that's it. But as soon as Itten and Roof were, off the plane, they had to say to Morelos, like, we're moving on now. We're actively getting you out the door. We won't be hard to deal with. We'll go, and then just really draw a line under it. Because can you imagine, Peter, if Rangers, partly Rangers want 20 mil for him, if Rangers stick to 20 mil and everybody in the industry knows they're sticking to 20 mil, then it becomes a really sticky situation if they don't get anywhere near that. Because
Yeah.
it really becomes a no-win situation for Rangers. I think they would be better. I think they would be better saying, listen, 16's not what we wanted, but we'll go to the people that will offer 16 and say you can have them, but can you bump on some nice extras for us? And I'm not talking about if he wins the Champions League or he wins the Ballon d'Or. I'm talking about achievable add-ons. If he plays 20 games for you this season, if he scores 15 goals for you, if he plays in X amount of European games, and then they can bump up to somewhere near the 20 million. But he's got to go. He's just got to go.
Yeah, absolutely. If he's there after that transfer window closes, I think you've got an unhappy man and a disruptive element, as he has proved over the last couple of months. Emma McNulty says, "Hi Peter, could you wish my girlfriend Emma a happy 28th birthday? I will gladly do that for you. So happy birthday to you, 28th birthday. Oh, fantastic! Wish you were 28 again, Roughie. To be perfectly honest with you, a good positives for Rangers though, Roughie. To be honest with you, with their dominance, they were able to see off a shot shy come, and they scored 2 good goals. And Kent's goal was a nice goal as well.
Yeah, we spoke about Kent on Friday, and we can see why they're not letting him go. He has got something in him. He's playing in a more central role now. They're allowing him a bit of freedom. He's got a trick or two, and for me, that was what was watching that game. It was all about him, what he was going to do, and the way he took his goal was fantastic. It was like a training, just in a training match. He saw the opening, he saw the goalkeeper was, and he just curled it in the corner. Touch of class, fantastic. But you're right. Again, possession, Rangers had it all. The good attacking for the wide areas, getting balls into the box, and really comfortable. And it's a great start for them. No goals lost at all. They don't even look as if they're going to losing a goal. So it'll be interesting to see who the first team is that's going to test them.
Yeah, Ronnie Porter says, "Hi guys, Rangers should have taken the £16 million from Lille." Exactly what Hugh was alluding to earlier. Dundee United 0, Celtic 1. Left it late. Ayeti come on. The manager takes the credit for making substitutions. He did go to what I would believe, just my opinion, he prefers a 3-5-2. When he's got 2 strikers, Celtic look a lot more dangerous. Ayeti come on. And the manager, Neil Lennon, says there's a lot more to come from his recent signing.
The players have been out of football for so long. Like I said, I think I said to you guys the other day that I don't think they're at top form just yet. So we're still trying to they're all still trying to find that. But the attitude today was brilliant, and some of the football was tremendous. And we deserved. I felt better out of the game, but we'll take the win. Delighted for a Jetty. It's always good for a striker to come in and make an early impact. You can see he's not match fit yet, but that'll do his confidence the world of good.
Yeah, so he looked okay. Didn't see enough. You need to form your opinion over a good 5 or 6 weeks, I think, once he gets up to real speed. But there's no doubt Celtic are a more potent force with two.
Yeah, I think I would play, if I was Celtic manager, I'd try and get the two up front all the time. I think three at the back suits Celtic as well. They've got two wing backs, ball and goalie, Taylor on one side and Frimpong on the other side, who can bomb forward. And both of them are very, very good attacking wise, and it gives you a solid three in the middle of the park as well. So no, Ajeti took his goal well, Peter. He looked as if he was a penalty box striker. The ball came off the goalkeeper, and he was in on the scraps. Ball. I think the goalkeeper could have done better. He's put it up in there, but he's in there to score goals, and he picked up the goal and got a massive 3 points, because Dundee United are a very, very solid side. They're well organised under Mickey Mellon, and they'll be hard to beat. Once they get Shankland back, I think you'll see them fairly flying up the table. But great 3 points for Celtic.
Yeah, and of course, as the manager mentioned, Roughie, he wants to try and bring in players. He's still looking for that centre half to bring in, still looking for the left back, I would suggest as well. And David Turnbull's maybe out of left field as the man who's the imminent arrival, which I think that's possibly a deal that's going back to the promises made before they spotted that injury he had in his knee.
Well, he's another one at the weekend, David Turnbull. I thought in the last couple of weeks he's showed a wee bit of class that other players don't have at this precise moment in time. And I can see why they'd want him. It's a trouble one for me in that Celtic midfield, because I think McGregor and Christie are fantastic. I think the pace they play and the touch they've got, quick feet just now, I think they're head and shoulders above everybody. So it'd be interesting to see. It's a lot of money. If it was 3 million, to slot him into that midfield and where he goes, because he is a quality player, and you can see he's getting back to where he was. But for me, again, Celtic, I think Neil Lennon's right. I don't think they're firing on all cylinders either. So it'll be interesting when they all get up to speed. But you're right, that I said right at the beginning of the season, I think Rangers and Celtic are going to be at least 20 points clear of everybody at the end of the season. I just can't see, a lot of teams, maybe away from home in the AstroTurf or something like that, but I think they're just head and shoulders everybody just now.
Yeah, well, I'm going to praise them.
Totally there.
Well, we will get to Hibs. Camp your jets, you, by the way. You don't know what camp you're in at the moment. You're just smiling all the time at the moment. I was just going to pay a little bit of respect to Dundee United, because I thought, although they're filled with youngsters, I thought they gave a good account of themselves, too. They wanted to play football. They wanted to go forward. They maybe didn't really test the Celtic goalkeeper in the final third, but they still wanted to play in an entertaining way.
Yeah, I think, one thing, what they suffered from at the weekend was a lack of experience in certain positions, and maybe a lack of sort of nous in other positions. But you can't say they weren't well coached, and you can't say they weren't looking for the main chance. There was one point in the first half, in fact, 2 points in the first half, where they broke very quickly and guys just made wrong decisions. Paulett made a very bad decision at one point when the Dundee United game plan actually worked to perfection. Celtic, caught up field, quick transition, as these young boys call it, and they moved forward. They did that on 2 occasions, but just that they have the level or the, what's the word for it? Not even maybe composure, Peter, just to make that last pass and to execute. But you couldn't fault them for, it's always patronising to say, but you couldn't fault them for effort, that's for sure. But you couldn't fault them for trying to go about the game in the best way to get a result out of it. I just thought it was a hugely interesting game for Celtic, because it's going to be, I think there's going to be the old Van Morrison, so I think there's going to be days like this all through the season for Celtic and Rangers, where teams are going to be, and the level of online criticism, which is bolstered by all this great nervousness, comes into play, and players are really heavily scrutinised. I thought, for example, Roughie talks about Christie there. I mean, from Celtic fans seem to be split straight down the middle on his performance on Saturday night. Is there question marks over where you? I mean, this sounds almost like heresy, Peter. But do you play Scott Brown every week, particularly if you've got you're going to have Turnbull comes, you're going to have 5 or 6 top class players bidding for 3 slots. I'm interested, maybe Tam, who knows him well and all that, would Scott Brown be amenable to sort of say, listen, I'll step down the odd game because the absolute what's the word for it? The absolute competition for these places. Or when you lose Scott Brown, you lose more than a player.
Yeah. Wow, that was you back days there, Hugh. That's the longest answer we've ever had. From talking about Dundee United, he still managed to get it back onto Celtic, Roughie. That was back to the Bobby Murdoch days when we were on Central FM. Did you remember it, Roughie?
Yeah, I do.
3,000 words from the beam when only 20 would have done. You as well answering the question now.
No, listen, when Scott Brown's come back, I think the lockdown was tough for Scott. I spoke to him a few times. You're 35, 34 years old, and you're not playing, you're inactive for 3 or 4 months. He's not back to his best yet. Certainly not back to his best. He looks as if he's maybe got a yard to go. But what you take out the team when you lose Scott Brown is you take out the leadership, the will to win. The inspiring people round about him. And Scott's been questioned, I think, from Celtic supporters for the last 2 or 3 years, and he's always answered the critics. He's always come back. He's always been there at the end, lifting the trophies. So, I don't think he's quite at his best now, but I think maybe a few more games, and he will be back to his best. But I don't think anybody's undroppable in that Celtic midfield. I think there's serious competition in there, and if they bring Turnbull in as well, there's going to be. And Cham's not been playing, who's a fantastic player. He obviously getting involved on Saturday, and I don't think he was great. So there's very much competition in there, and it's up to Scott Brown to get up to speed and be as commanding as he has been the last couple of years.
Wow, well, I didn't think he was. I didn't think he was a man that anybody was looking at Saturday. I thought he was. I thought he was absolutely calm. I mean, he had a nice little bit of skill to eventually set up the chance for Christie. But nevertheless, as the season goes on, as Hugh rightly points out, there may well be options for other people. Well done to Dundee United. I enjoyed watching them because when you watch some of the other games and the attitude and the way some teams played at the weekend, it left a lot to be desired. Kevin McFarlane on YouTube says, listen, never mind the rest of them, what about the Hibbies? And what about the Hibbies? Because I'm going to tell you, this is a fantastic start, Tam. You must be, just licking your lips. You've signed for Hibs TV, and they're just rolling on back to the days when Hugh was a whippersnapper watching the greats, the Stan, the Brownlees, the Alan Gordons, the Jimmy O'Rourkes.
Oh, it's been a brilliant start, Peter. Listen, I think 13 points out of 15 is a dream start. It's the best start they've had in a league campaign since 1974, I think. So, listen, Jack Ross has done a fantastic job at Hibs. I don't think they're very easy on the eye at the minute. I think there's more to come in terms of attacking, plenty more to come. I think the front 4, front 5 have not really, struck top form yet. But what a solid base they've got for the goalkeeper, Porteous, Hanlon, Paul McGinn, the young boy Josh Doig, and he's got Gogic sitting in there in front of them. They're very, very difficult to beat, Peter. They've not lost a goal yet from open play in 5 games. So I think that tells you everything you've got to know. If you defend properly and you keep clean sheets, you only need one opportunity and you win the game. Even though Hibs were, they were fortunate in Sunday. That St Johnstone, a goal chopped off, it was not offside. And the penalty, I think, even been Hibs TV, I said that I thought it was soft. I thought Ryan Porteous went down looking for it. But listen, you take your luck and you move on to the next game. 13 points out of 15, and the Hibs fans are dreaming of a league title.
What? Calm your jets. Hugh, get the drug testing out. He's off his nuts. I never thought I'd hear that line on the programme.
This is just the whole saying, gives a pint of what Tam's on now, you know. But I think the great thing about Hibs at the moment is, as Tam points out, they're not playing particularly well, but they've got things. They've got possibilities, Peter. See if they were shipping a lot of goals and scoring a lot of goals, you'd be worried. But because they're not shipping goals, you're looking at what they've got in their team, and you say, you know what, they've got enough in that team to score a few goals. You know, I'm a great admirer of Boyle. I think Boyle is the player on the fringes of Celtic and Rangers who's come on so much in the last year. I think at times he looks a real topper, not just with his pace, but his final ball's getting better. His execution, he's a very clever finisher now. And I just think if everything interacts, I think Hibs will score goals.
Yeah, and Gordon McFadden says, what's Tam smoking? Kenneth McClary says, Tam the crazy guy. And Aaron Reid sums it all up. A bit early on the wine, Tam. Yes. But I'll tell you.
I think you can dream.
Oh, can dream. Listen, you would love them to go on a run, Roughie, and just keep this home team.
Yeah, well, we've always been looking for Aberdeen to split the Old Firm, and Motherwell have been up there as well. Hibs haven't been there for a wee while, so who's to say this isn't the year, you know, that they do hang in there. But if they get the rub of the green the way they got at the weekend there, they've got every chance of that. But again, I don't think they've been tested particularly by anybody. And as we say, as every team we've been talking about the days, we've been saying that they're not hitting the ground running, they've been poor, they're not up to speed. You know, it'll be interesting to see when the teams all are up to speed, then who is the teams that are going to start, you know, forcing Rangers and Celtic into some good games.
Yeah, I'm dying to know who it is. I mean, fair play to the Hibbies. They get the wins even when they're not firing on all cylinders. But I watched Hugh the first half of Aberdeen Livingston. Oh my God! I mean, it was painful, absolutely painful. Every time I watch Livingston at the moment, I actually look and I think about the Tom Hanks movie, The Da Vinci Code, and I think about strapping something serious to my left leg, scalping myself with a hammer because it's dire.
It wasn't the easiest watch, even for somebody like me who watch any football at any time. I just think, you know, people are talking about Scottish football and we love it, and we love to talk up its very good points. The good points being that it's so important to our communities in Scotland, it's so important to our culture, it is a national sport and all that. But sometimes you've got to be realistic and say, do you know what, the quality can be dire. The quality has, you know, and it will continue to go down as well. It sounds like I'm being like, you know, we're doomed, the old captain. Was it the Private Fraser on the telly? We're doomed. But it's going to go, the quality is going to go down because it's just money, Peter. It's just money. I mean, if you look at it, even, you know, one time the big clubs could buy.
You're talking about the quality going down. Come on. Managers have a responsibility. Players have a responsibility. Play some decent football. Dundee United's a team full of youngsters. They wanted to play the ball on the deck. Some of the managers just want to survive and sit in there. I mean, Livingston and Aberdeen, when I get the game stopped the other day there, it was terrible. Play the ball on the deck, play some football, have a go, get attacking. It's not rocket science to go and get two wingers, start firing balls into the box and be entertaining. You don't need to be. You don't need to be a 20.
The new film Tiki Taka.
Play some.
Peter Martin's Gegenpress is going to be a new podcast. You know, I mean, the point that Peter, always, and I've been watching it in years. I've been watching it. I say to Tam, I've watched football 8 different decades. Right? There's always been teams that they're set up that way. If you want to go back institutionally, why is it so much like that at the moment? It's because the league's too small, and at any little point, and the clubs, by the way, they voted that way. That's the way they want it. You know, they want it. And if you went to Gary Holt at Livingston and says, I think you should start playing out from the back and having 5 passes to your three-partista who's standing up, and have a false 9 going in there, and we'll have an inverted wingers and all that. You just look at it as if you were daft. He would say, I've got to survive in this league, and the way I'm going to survive is the way we played last year and the way we're playing now.
Yeah, listen, I agree with you. The league's too small for it, and people are just trying to survive, which is hard going at the best of time. But nevertheless, Alan Murray says, Peter Martin, armchair expert. No, sorry, I'm not in the armchair. I'm getting in my car and I'm going out to the games. And when I'm sitting there in the stand, and I'm in a fortunate position because the press, Alan, are allowed to go to the games, I'm sitting watching teams who are not interested in trying to play some football and have a go at it. Dundee United lost, unfortunately for them, late on. But I think they at least tried to entertain and play some good football. Their keeper was blessed. I mean, Roughie, the boy, Benji Siegrist, he was magnificent the other day there for Dundee United. But they still tried to play football. Yeah, I was impressed with some of the new boys they've got. I tipped in the beginning to go down. I'll be down there battling in the bottom 4 for most of the season. They've had a good start. He's added a few players, a new freshness to him. Obviously, Shankland still to come in. Big keeper at one of these games, but I agree with Tam. I think he made a mess. The Celtic goal, I think he could have got it further away rather than keeping it in play. But again, he'll know himself that he could have done better with that one, and he was unlucky. The ball come back in and the goal line, it could have hit somebody in the goal line and he got away with it. But no, he had a wonderful save. I'm just waiting to see if he's in the team of the week. Yeah, well, hang fire. Ian Miller says, bringing in more will improve the standard, will it? Ian, it'll certainly take away the fear from position 3 to position 12 of let's try and avoid relegation. I think there are a number of teams that could come in and you might get a chance to blood some youngsters, take a chance, have a go, play some good football, rather than thinking at the start of the season, we just try and not lose this game rather than try winning it. I don't know how you like your football or how you like the ethos of football. Maybe I'm just from another planet where I like to see teams try and play football, like to see them show a wee bit of skill. Maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm just living in cloud cuckoo land hoping for this. Maybe I'm looking for utopia, who knows. Anyway, apart from that, St Mirren won, Ross County won. It was the only one I got right, Tam, as far as 5 points is concerned. But I'll tell you, St Mirren, I think, would have got all 3 points if Joe Shaughnessy hadn't got himself sent off.
Yeah, I think they were well on top in the game, Peter. And, obviously the red card changes the game. I think it's a definite red card. Listen, I had a couple of conversations yesterday with, I think, St Mirren fans who didn't think that was a red card. I mean, it was a stonewall red card. You can't come through the boy like that. Obviously, you've got to go and try and win the ball, but he's straight leg and he's caught him just above the knee. I don't think he's meant to do him, Peter, but I think it's a red card. And it totally changed the game, and Ross County could have went on and won it, and St Mirren ended up with a decent point. But solid start of the season for St Mirren, and they'll go again next week, but they're looking the part.
Roughie, are we worried about Motherwell? Because I thought there would be. I tipped them for third. Can't win a game, Roughie.
No, and you look at the players they've got defensively, midfield. I'm a wee bit worried about up front when you think the quality they used to have, the Mains and the Louis Moult, and they had a striker. I don't think they've got a striker now that looks as if he's going to finish it and give them a good end product. Apart from that, the midfield looks good. It's just not happening for them. I don't think for a minute they're going to be down there for the whole season. I just think they've got too much quality and they just need a win to get them kick-started. But I have to say, I was impressed with Hamilton. He keeps throwing in these young boys. There was about 4 or 5 of them. I hadn't a clue who they were. And every one of them, man, they just ooze a confidence. They don't give any respect at all. They just go out and do their own thing. And half of them, they only look about 18, 19 if they're lucky. But he's not frightened to throw them in there. And he knows the games that he's got to pick the 3 points up against. And that would have been one of them at the weekend. Okay, I thought it should have been a goalless draw at the end. But they got the win, and that'll be a huge boost for them. And it was interesting, Ricey saying, they know now that so many people have tipped them. They know there's a siege mentality in there now that everybody every year says, look, it's going to be used. So that could help them in the long run.
Yeah, absolutely. Here is Brian Rice with an air of defiance about him.
Well, the confidence is getting the 3 points. We've been battered about again. We played Celtic and got battered. And I'm reading words that reporters are writing about us. We're an easy target, a wretched start to the season, all this sort of stuff. When Hamilton's bottom of the league, we get battered. I'm stand up for my boys. Stand up for the club. Stand up for the town. These people keep writing us off. We'll just keep writing us off. It's the same guys all the time. And when I see them, I'll tell them. Because I'm standing up for my club. I'm standing up for these young boys.
You better watch out, Roughie. You're in for a kicking.
No. I'm Hamilton. I'll be showing Chipper my clip when I said not this year. Hamilton are never going to be anywhere near it this year. I've got it on record.
I'll tell you one thing, Hugh Rice, he looks as if he's ready for a square goal with somebody, doesn't he?
Yeah. Good on him, and I just hope it's not me because I tipped him to go down, and I've got no shame or guilt about that, the fact of the matter is, we all know that in football, generally you should finish where your budget is. It's as simple as that. You can actually go through Champions League groups and work it out. You can go through foreign leagues. So what Hamilton have done is they buck the odds every year. So it's kind of, it's a dangerous thing to say, that they'll no bucket against them this year, but that's what they should be. They should be down at the bottom of the league because they can't afford to pay the better players. It really is as simple as that. I mean, on the personal side, I hope they get out of it. Of course I do, because I think Chipper's a fine coach, and I think there's we talk about some young players not getting blooded. Certainly young Smith at Hamilton, I think, looks a real class player, and I think he can come on as well. So, but it's not a personal thing. It's just an opinion thing. And on the thing about Motherwell, I'm going into my extra time in penalties here now. My answers. The thing about Motherwell's got no right to say they can't go down. Well, we're all talking at Christmas last year. Our hearts are too strong. Blah de blah de blah de blah. Wasn't long before we changed our mind on that, Peter.
Yeah, you're right. And by the way, the Motherwell manager, Stephen Robinson, certainly isn't pulling any punches at the end of each game.
It certainly looks like it. My subs were poor. That's my fault. I made 3 changes that were positive changes, and because we weren't getting a lot from the boys that were on, we thought we might shake it up. We didn't get that impact in any shape or form from Ellen or Tony, who at least run about. So I have to take the blame for that. I take ultimate responsibility for the subs and the team I pick. On paper, we look like a real threat up front. But paper doesn't win you football matches.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, Tam's in a huff. He's just thrown his earpiece out there and everything. Hey, because we're talking more about it. Oh, get rid of your Apple iPods because they're rubbish. Hey, is that what you're doing?
Can't hear you.
Yeah, of course he can't hear me now, but he will be able to hear us shortly. Listen, apart from Tony Watt, who he mentioned runs about, Roughie, the Motherwell strikers are just not doing it.
No, I don't think they're getting the supply either. All good strikers need a supply. I thought he was pretty honest there in the interview, but I think if he was even more honest, he would have said, I've maybe made a mistake letting some of these guys go at the end of the season. The Tates, they were big players for him. I think I don't know what his decision was to let them go. Obviously he could do that, but I don't think they're playing with the continuity they had last year. They were all fighting for each other. I think they're not gelled together yet. They're not a team yet. They're just sort of individuals doing their own thing. And it'd be interesting to see if the boy does go to Celtic, because that'll be a big blow for him as well. I know he'll have £3 million in the bank, but he's certainly got to replace him.
Yeah, with all due respect, Roughie, I don't think it's the back end. It's the problem. I think Motherwell, if they take their chances, I mean, their strikers just don't look as if they can score at the moment. Just before you go off there, Tam, we're talking about people who buy, it's a classic old Lanarkshire phrase here, staying with the Motherwell theme. We're talking about people who buy Snyder iPad.
I've jumped it after half an hour. Can't believe it.
Yeah, you should have dumped him because
I'm gutted.
Because that's why your microphone wasn't working. You're back to the normal ones now. You sound great, Tam.
Right, thanks. I went for something different today. I went for the new iPods and they're crap. Half an hour they've lasted after 100% battery, so I've been absolutely done with Sunday. They'll begin back.
Yeah, that's what happens. Kenny Whitson says it's Robinson's jacket on a sugary peg. Seriously, Kenny, Stephen Robinson for me is a great manager. I mean, at the end of the day, just needs that wee turn of luck, Tam. Strikers to start taking chances.
Yeah, listen, he's done a fantastic job for Motherwell. We don't become a bad manager overnight, and it's only about 3 or 4 games. I thought they were unlucky against Hibs last week not to pick up the 3 points. And by all accounts, they were unlucky again on Saturday not to beat Hamilton. So, listen, they just need a little bit of a wee rubbery green in front of goal, somebody to score a goal, maybe Jordan White or Tony Watt. You know, somebody, a striker, just to score a goal, and you'll see the confidence coming through the team. But I don't think they'll be in any danger, Pete, and I don't think Robinson's job's in a sugary peg. I think they're only a 1 or 2 if really kicking on, because I've got a real quality squad, I think.
Yeah, Stuart Carruthers has mentioned something that I think we should mention, Hugh. Did you see Richard Tate's clearance off the line for St Mirren? I have to say, Richard Tate deserves tremendous credit. It was an acrobatic effort because it was heading for the net.
Absolutely, and what Jim Goodwin's done at St Mirren is pretty simple. He started off by just, let's put in the foundations here. Let's make ourselves, a very hard team to beat. Okay, Shaughnessy got sent off on Saturday, and rightly so. But I think that back line is strong now. It's full of real experienced players. I don't think they're going to lose many goals outside of maybe travelling to Ibrox or Celtic Park. I think they're going to be competitive with other teams. And the real story, as always, and as Tam will know as well, that amongst the teams, see from third down, it's all about if you've got a striker in form. If you look at any top 6 team over the last few years, you say, why is Livingston in the top 6? You go, well, Dykes is scoring 10 to 15. Why is Cosgrove going so great? Well, why is Aberdeen going so great? Well, Cosgrove's going good. Why are Motherwell reaching cup finals? Because Louis Moult's, putting them in, or Curtis Vane is picking it up. It seems so obvious to say, but we're not talking about a guy scoring, Lewandowski levels of goals. We're talking about, see if you're getting a guy scoring 10 to 15 league goals in a season, that transforms your season from being bottom 4 to being top 6.
Niall Kane says, if Motherwell lose to Glen Torn, would you say Robinson is under pressure? No. There you have it. Short answer. Anyway, Tam, it's been a good start. It's been a good start to the season. Let's see who our reporter Gabriel Antoniazzi has picked in his team of the week.
Ryan Fulton made 4 saves to ensure it was a clean sheet for the Ackies. Danny McNamara always gets forward, and his tricky dribbling was a menace to the opposition defence. Nir Bitton was Celtic's best passer, playing diagonal balls to open up the game. Hakeem Adofin should have had 2, but his diving header earned Ackies a vital 3 points. Richard Tate's clearance against Ross County was one of the most spectacular you'll see all season. Ryan Hedges scored midweek and produced another moment of magic to set up Scott Wright. Alex Gogic gave little away in the middle of the park and helped Hibs to win their late penalty. David Turnbull was on a losing team again, but his man-of-the-match performances are leading to interest from big clubs. Ryan Kent played with more freedom on Saturday and was the most dangerous player, scoring again. Albion Ajeti only played 20 minutes but provided the vital contribution with the winning goal. Kemar Roof scored his first Rangers goal. With his link-up play and movement, he could prove to be an able replacement to Alfredo Morelos.
Tam, are we missing anybody there?
No, I don't think we are. I think I'll give Gabs that. I think that's not a bad team. You know, he's done all right there. Got Lackey's boys in there. That'll please Chipper.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll keep him on. Thanks. I'll tell you, Roughie, I thought Aberdeen's second goal was an absolute peach. They worked it beautifully. It was a nice little bit of interplay in the edge of the box before scoring it.
Yeah, and that boy's been out injured for a wee while. We try to get him on loan at Partick Thistle. I think it was last year. He was in and out of the side, and I think Gary Caldwell tried to get him permanently, but they wouldn't do it. So he's got a lot of his career to make up, and obviously that goal will help him along the way. But again, no, he's only in there because of obviously the injuries to all the centre forwards. But it was a very, very good, well worked goal.
Yeah, absolutely.
The only person that I would think with Gavin is I'd had the boy McAllister for St Mirren in there. I think he's a bit of a prospect. I think he's the next one that teams will be looking at.
You know the boy that's been with us for 2 years, Ruff. He's called Gabriel. Gavin, another person you know else.
Gabriel. It is, yeah. Slip of the tongue, Gabriel.
You know, Alfredo.
Yeah. Oh, you're right. You're right.
Okay. Just keeping Ruffy right. He's now turning into Sir Bobby Robson, Jack McDonald, and Frank are with us. So, David Balfourman says, why wasn't the Dundee United goalkeeper not in there? Who picks that team of the week anyway? David, I think you're right. Siegrist, for me, produced some unbelievable saves, but maybe losing the game and winning the game just edged it for Gabriel to pick that. Jimmy Wright says, Peter, what's wrong? You haven't mentioned Hearts this evening. I know, I like to mention the Jambos, even if they're not playing. Calm yourself. Hugh, I'm going to mention them because I'm absolutely gutted for John Souttar. An Achilles injury. Looks as if he's going to be out for 6 months. I don't know how he picked it up. Could have been road running, but nevertheless, if it is road running, it wouldn't have happened if they were allowed to train on grass pitches with this stupid rule over the last couple of weeks.
Still going on about it.
Yeah, I just thought I'd throw it in.
It's really gutting for Souttar because he's a boy of undoubted. He's a lovely lad as well. I mean, not that it should come in any way, but he is a nice guy, and he's also a player of great talent. And every time he seems to be getting on a run of getting a few games, he gets an injury, and this is Achilles injuries. Tam will tell you, they're really, really bad injuries. They're injuries that sometimes can leave you with a vulnerability there. I hope it's not the case. I hope everything can be eradicated. But it's funny because I was talking to there's almost a little Peter. There's almost like a little soap opera in all those players that. Imagine if you did a television series of that. I was talking to Jackie McNamara at the weekend, and that team that he had with, Souttar, look what he's gone through. Armstrong, look where he's gone. Ryan Gold, who's went abroad, and then obviously the star of that soap opera would be Robertson, who's gone on to the Champions League. And these were guys that all played 5-a-side with each other. Incredible story. And Souttar's definitely been the most unlucky of them all.
Yeah, absolutely. Were you talking to Jackie McNamara at the weekend, Hugh?
Yeah, I don't think I mentioned it, have I? I don't think I mentioned it at all. I think he was training in Lennoxtown.
You got his hits for a pick.
I did not, Tam. If he was speaking to Emerson Fittipaldi from an interview at the weekend, he would get Emerson Fittipaldi into this conversation. I guarantee you, he does it all. He's brilliant at it. It's absolutely magnificent. I love the way he does it. Now, I've got to get a couple of points off you guys here. But first of all, look at the table, Tam. Look at the table. Can Hibs shock us all this season and keep this all going?
Yeah, I think they can. They can stay up there. As I said to you, they're still to hit top form. They've got a few players to come back into the team, and for me, it's more the case of looking at the likes of Motherwell and Kilmarnock. There's a big gap there, 11 points already. That's teams I think who've been up there.
Yeah, just as he was talking about a sense. Well, as you know on the programme, Hugh, when Hibbies get above their station, we cut them off just as we're getting to the end of the programme, just in case they start talking too much.
And he's wondering about Leith the other day. They're buying earbuds down in Leith, and that's the price you pay for it, Pierre. I'm sorry to say. I know what he's going with it. I know he's going for the Hibs answer, but I'll let him come in and speak for himself at the moment.
Yeah, you were talking too much then there, Tam, so we cut you off. What were you saying?
No, listen, I think the Hibs, obviously, you look at the league table and they're 11 points ahead of Motherwell, who finished third last season, and they play Aberdeen at the weekend, so they could put a big gap between them as well. So I think that's what Jack Ross and Hibs fans are looking at, and try to put as much daylight as possible between the likes of themselves and Aberdeen, Motherwell, even Kilmarnock, teams that you would expect to be up that challenging for that third position. So it's been a brilliant start. Can they keep it going? Who knows? But Hibs fans will enjoy it now while it lasts.
Yeah, Hibs against Aberdeen. Is that the Sky game, Roughie? Because if it is, I'm going to put a tenner 0-0.
No. Whenever Tam goes for it, will happen in the last minute.
Yeah, it's so bad.
I know, Hugh. I'd hate to be the director who has to go and explain to the Sky, funding manager, who signed this 165 million TV deal.
Where's the receipt?
With about 2 goals in 13 hours. I mean, honestly, seriously, can someone get their act together and start playing attacking football? This is going to be painful, Roughie. I make no bones about telling you. This next bit is going to be painful. Here's the predictor head to head.
He's rumping it.
Roughie, that is a gap. That we are in trouble.
Is it just 15 points?
15.
Oh. I can't see the scores on my screens. He got 50 points.
He got 50 points, Roughie.
Oh, that's nothing. We could get that back at the weekend. I thought it was further than that. He's on a wee run. He's getting a rub of the green. That can be caught. No problem.
Absolutely. The other thing about it, as I look towards our esteemed man Gandalf there, Hugh, you know better than most. I mean, this early arrogance that he has can quickly disappear as 3 or 4 results start to go completely wrong.
Well, I was saying to Jackie McNamara at the weekend, it's very, the early season form matters nothing. I think though, to be fair, there's certain things that have been shown pretty quickly early on, and I think there'll be certain managers in the Premiership at the moment will be very content. Jack Ross is one of them. Be very content with the way the season started for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, I did mention, and Gary Adams saying, Peter, where's the T-shirts? The T-shirts are coming, by the way, because I met the main man who's putting the design together. All I'm going to say to you is we've got a whole batch. I know that Donna G has been putting messages up there saying, can we buy the T-shirts? We do have some classic Legends T-shirts on sale in the shop, but we're adding even more of those. We're adding quite a few special things coming up. All I'm going to say to you, and I think you're going to enjoy it, our range coming out, all I'm going to say to you is Bill Sh. It's as simple as that for the if you're an official.
I've got one here and now. I've got one here and now. This is it. The old
you
one here
Dennis.
and now.
Dennis Law's fantastic. But Bill Shankly and training tops is certainly something that they're going to be special. Even McManus, who's into his Be Inspired gear, I think will be on our case shortly.
If I get a freebie, aye.
Yeah, I bet exactly. Story of your life, George. Not the show for you T-shirt is the one I want. Yeah, I mean we've been actually quite good. To be honest with you, I think there's a lot of good people on now. I don't know if you've noticed, as the season started, apart from the odd nutcase, the majority now, Roughie, are starting to talk about the football in their team and give us messages. They give us pelters, which is fantastic. But they're starting to talk about the football because the 99% of the people that watch on YouTube and watch us on Facebook and follow us on our Periscope on Twitter are actually football fanatics. It's a great amount of people who love their team and want to talk a bit of sense.
Yeah, that's a good thing about it, and it's the opinion as well, where we don't have to agree with them. They probably disagree with us quite a lot of times, but they're supporting their club, and that's the main thing. That's what we want to take the game forward with.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what I really enjoy about football. I love watching Champions League. The Champions League final, I thought Bayern Munich were going to edge it, and in the end, they did, Tam, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. Roughie's team were unlucky. I thought PSG, I thought they missed a barrel load of chances in the first half. I think Mbappe missed a sitter. We cut back and he's hit it straight to the goalkeeper. I think the first goal in any final is always huge. And Bayern Munich, once Bayern Munich got it, you should just see them seeing the game out. They've done it professionally. They're used to winning games and winning big cups. And PSG, I think, were a wee bit unlucky, but nobody remembers the losers. They just remember Bayern Munich's name on the trophy. But it was a good final, enjoyed it. I thought it was going to be more goals, but Bayern Munich, they edged it, and it's a dream start. It's a dream season for Flick. Is it Flick, the manager? I mean, he came in and unbelievable. Yeah. What a job he's done.
It's fantastic. I mean, 6 now on the left-hand badge. 6 times they've won it. I don't think, and I'm not being an old fuddy-duddy about this, Hugh, but I don't think they're a patch on the early 74, 75, 76 Bayern Munich side. But by the way, they've been good entertainment this season, and Lewandowski's been a joy to watch.
Yeah, I think it sticks in my craw because, I'm a Dortmund man, and that's the big rivalry in Germany, so I never really want to see Bayern do anything, but you really have to take your caps off them. Very, very strong in the very important positions, goalie, centre-back, centre midfield, and Lewandowski up top. The only thing, a wee bit sorry for Lewandowski, although he betrayed me and left Dortmund, that there was no Ballon d'Or this year, because I think I don't know why there was no Ballon d'Or either, and I think he would have been a very worthy winner.
Yeah, absolutely. And nice to see that even Hugh can be bitter in German as well. Doesn't want Bayern Munich. And of course, just to continue that theme, quite a lot of people here mentioning that they had great sympathy, Roughie, for Neymar. There's a lot of real. There's a groundswell of sympathy.
I was buzzing he get beat.
Oh, I have to tell you, Tom.
He's a wee
He
rat.
had a chance as well.
There's no sympathy for him because
No sympathy.
They're giving him pelters. Sean Grogan says something nice about Neymar greeting. They don't like him, Roughie.
Yep.
No, he hasn't handled himself particularly well. He's, I would say, players and fans. He's not one of these lovable rogues. He just seems to want to go the opposite way. I think he wants people to like him, but he's certainly got ability. And Tam's right; he had a chance as well, and fluffed it. So that's the way it goes.
Yeah, he's not my favourite player, Tam. If I was playing against him, I know he'd probably take the mickey out of me, but I'd never get tired of kicking him.
Yeah, he's just got one. He's just one of them faces. It's just you want to batter. But I thought he is. He's just you'd want to smash him. Honestly, you want to get near him, but you'd want to do him. But some player, but he lets himself down with all his antics. As Roughie said.
Hugh Hepburn Duff says, Peter, how many goals has Neymar scored for Celtic? Probably scored quite a few, actually. But I think overall, when I look at players, and once they start rolling about, and then, it's woe is me and their antics, it doesn't cut it for me. And he's one of my least favourite world stars. There's no doubt about it. Alec O'Donnell says, how would you catch him, Peter? It's quite simple. Just jump on his shoulders.
You need a shotgun, Peter.
Paul, if I jumped on his shoulders. But to be perfectly honest with you, listen, Bayern Munich were well worthy of the winning of the Champions League. But what about some of the star players? Well, I always mention our reporter Gabriel Antoniazzi puts together the top 5.
The Champions League concluded last night with Bayern Munich winning their 6th title thanks to 1-0 win over Paris Saint-Germain. Here are our 5 top players from the tournament. Marquinhos scored crucial goals in both the quarters and semis and protected the often fragile PSG defence throughout the entire competition. Alphonso Davies has been the breakout star of the season with his rapid pace and attacking runs from deep, none more so than in the 8-2 win against Barcelona. Neymar is often criticised for his dramatics and may not have scored in the final 8, but he is his team's driving force and seems to have matured this campaign. Serge Gnabry confirmed his status as the heir to Iron Robin with a hat-trick against Tottenham, goals against Chelsea and Barcelona, and a brace against Lyon in the semi-final. Robert Lewandowski is Bayern's talisman and has an argument to be the best player in the world. The Pole is central to everything the Bavarians do and scored 15 times in the Champions League alone.
We missed anybody, Hugh?
No, not really. I mean, it's one of these things. It's a great argument. I mean, one of the things that I think is that wee Gavin has done there. Wee Gav, as we call him, has done. He's
Gavin, that's shocking, Roughie. He's worked the guy for about 3 years.
He's obviously wee Gavin's. I think he's obviously had a wee natter with Stacey. He's had a with Stacey. You know Stacey, the producer. So wee Gavin and Stacey have got together, and they've left out, I think, Mbappe, and I think that's an interesting one because Mbappe doesn't deserve to be in the top 5. But I think if he'd have been in full flow and really up to speed, he could maybe have changed things last night.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, once Roughie starts calling me Ewan, that's the end of the game. By the way, we just
get him to pass.
We just simple as that. Lindsay Buchanan says, Tam, you couldn't lace Neymar's boots. I mean, with all due respect, none of us could. We certainly could put our laces through his boots. That's an absolute stonewall. Listen, it's all about opinion. Some players you like, some players you don't like for their antics along the way, but that's the joy of football. There are players that you just love watching, you'd pay to see regularly. Is there a player in Scotland, Hugh, that you would pay to see regularly at the moment that just does it for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's a bad question because I do, as you know, Peter, once it's up and running again, I do actually pay at the gate to get in, except when Big Roughie gives me a bit of scoff at Firhill. And I think there's a lot of players that I would go and watch. I mean, just off the top of my head, I think Edwards, always good to watch. Kent's good to watch. I think Aribo at Rangers. I think Boyle, Boyle at Hibs is. I like watching quick, pacey wingers. Yeah, there's plenty there to go on with that I would watch. Yeah.
Yeah, Roughie, are you poking yourself with a pencil? Are you okay?
No, I've just said that. I was struggling how, what's his name again? Hugh. Had come up with 4 names off the top of his head there. Is that 4? Come on, Hugh. Let's get another couple in.
Come on. You can go through every team. Like even when I was down and watching a lot of the stuff in the first division, I mean, everybody's got to love watching Dobie at Queen of the South. I don't think you can say that. I went and saw Shanklin a few times last year at Dundee United. Great to see a goal scorer in full flight. I think there's plenty of players, Roughie, that you would go and see and say, well, he's decent and he's going to do something. I mean, we've not got Neymar and Mbappe, but there's a reason for that.
Yeah, I always like to see. I make no bones about saying this. I always like to see Scott Allen. I just wish he'd get his finger out of his back end, Tam, and start to do it more and start to grab games by the scruff of the neck. I think the boy's got talent. I would take Scott Allen into a room and never get tired of just telling him, listen, go out there and dominate the game and do something special.
Yeah, listen, he's a top player. He's another one that's not hit top form. I said last week on the show, he was obviously shielding during the lockdown because he's diabetes. So I just think he's a yard off at the now. But you can still see in little flashes. Probably you watched the game yesterday. You can see his movements and you can see a pass, and he's just not doing it consistently enough. And he's not getting about the pitch as much just now because he's probably not 100% fit. But he's certainly a player that the Hibs fans love to watch. I like to watch him as well, and hopefully in a couple of games' time, when he's maybe get a few more games under his belt, he'll be bang up to speed because he's certainly a really, really talented player.
You can always tell, by the way, the makings of a team if the player in the team has a song about them. It's as simple as that. I mean, I remember Darren Jackson mentioned to me that, certain teams, if you've got a special player, there's a song about them. And there's not too many at the moment, Hugh, with a song, an individual player with a song at the moment. There isn't too many. I mean, Roughie, can you think of one? I can't think of anybody who's got a song because they're absolutely outstanding. I mean, Edouard from the Stone Road is probably the only one that I can think. The rest of them, somebody needs a song. It's as simple as that. I'm sure somebody will remind us of a few others, but I can't think of anybody, Roughie. Can you?
No, I can't. Obviously, haven't heard them this year. There's nobody in the stadium, so... But I'm sure once we get people in the stadium, somebody will come up with a song.
That's a good point. He's got a point.
Surely.
Hey, Peter.
That's why I can't.
Peter, he left it to the end. But he left it to the end, but he knocked it out the park. He's knocked it out the park. Absolutely.
Roughie, I can't even come back at you. You've absolutely not. There's no songs because there's nobody in the stadium. That's why I'm not really getting. Anyway, I'm not saying there's surely a song about Jackie McNamara. Well, there is, because you, just in case you don't know, was talking to at the competition for tomorrow on the programme. What was Hugh talking to Jackie McNamara about, and will it be Friday's Daily Mail one-to-one interview? Who knows? Tam is flying high. There are so many questions. Can anyone stop the Hibbies from winning the title? That was the first part of the show. Tam posed the question, and lots of people are saying we love Tam because, of course, of his backing of the Hibbies there. Stephen Robinson, is he under pressure? Not in our books. You might differ from that. And, of course, elsewhere, Ryan Kent popping one into the back of the net. But is Alfredo on his way out? Is Shane Duffy ever going to enter any club? Is David Turnbull on his way to Celtic? It looks as if that deal is imminent. That's all the stories we've been talking about. Don't forget, like, share and follow us. Niall Kane's one of our top fans. He's with us all the time. And basically he shares the stream for us, like so many people. So thank you very much. And Robert Arbuckle says, Peter, you've gone redder than a baboon's backside after Roughie mentioned. You're absolutely right. Roughie's just nailed
Roughie's back.
Roughie is back after 8 years of mediocrity. He's really coming back into his own. Don't forget, follow us, and also you can subscribe to Roughie. It's absolutely free on YouTube. Join us if you can there, and Periscope as well. From Roughie, from Tam McManus, from Hugh McDonald, and from myself, Peter Martin. Thank you for watching.
Expect the best used car deals guaranteed. Visit arnoldclark.com.